I was saying that I'd like not to be saying too much in these afternoon sessions. I'll be leading some of them, and Mokshika will be leading a couple of them too. But today I want to say a little bit more because I want to introduce Sati or mindfulness. And we'll be saying more and more about that as the week goes on. It'll just seep in because it's the basis of pretty much everything we'll be doing. But let's start just with looking at an image of the, if you like, the mandala of the spiritual faculties, which some of you will be, this will be very familiar territory to you. But for others, perhaps less so, or perhaps you haven't come across it at all. So I thought it would be good to just put it up there. So traditionally, two pairs that in a way work together and work to counter any sort of excesses, if you like, or near enemies. So you've got wisdom and faith, panya and sada, opposite each other. And then you've got energy and what I'm calling stability. You could talk about it as absorption or concentration. But in this context, we're calling it stability, or virya and samadhi as another pair. And in the middle, you've got mindfulness or sati. And that's, mindfulness is there as the balancing factor. You can recognize through having an awareness what's happening, whether one of the other factors is either missing or you're a bit out of balance. Perhaps there's loads of energy, but not very much stability in the mind. And it's your capacity to be aware that's able to recognize imbalance. I think it's Bhante who says you can't have too much mindfulness. So it's the only one, not that you can't have too much of the others, but you've got to keep them in some sort of equilibrium. So yeah, it's a lovely image. Thank you, Vajradevi. So we'll go back to screen. And it's important perhaps to stress that it's a quality of mind we're talking about. There are various factors or faculties, but they're mental factors. So they're things that we experience and things that we can feel out within our experience. And the quality of sati or mindfulness that we're feeling out, it has the qualities of receptivity, a natural quality, and a not interfering or non-interfering. Can also talk about it as being the knowing quality of mind. What is the mind knowing? What are we aware of? So Bhante talks about mindfulness as an intelligent, responsive awareness to ever-changing conditions. An intelligent, responsive awareness to ever-changing conditions. So in a way, mindfulness recognizes that things are not static, things are always fluid, flexible. So mindfulness itself is flexible, responsive, and quick, like the mind. So sometimes I think of when I've been to concerts pre-COVID. I used to go to quite a lot of concerts in the Symphony Hall in Birmingham, which is about an hour away, fantastic venue. And quite often there'd be a pianist in the mix, and you look at, we don't even have to look at their fingers, but when I think sometimes about what we can be aware of, I think I go to that concert and every note that the pianist is playing, I mean, they happen very sort of rapidly, but awareness can know without effort, actually, simply by being present, by in a way, mentally, emotionally showing up, all those tiny sort of moments of experience can be known, and they can be known in this way that's relaxed and settled back. In fact, the more relaxed, the more settled back, the more it supports us being able to, for the mind to be open to what's happening. So another image, these images may be quite familiar to some of you who've been on retreats with me a number of times. So just to say, I think it's helpful to be reminded. It's helpful to hear, to have things, to hear them said again, because we forget. We forget, and even if we remember what's been said before, in a way, the words are there to point us back to the experience, point us back to, being aware in this moment. Not last week or last retreat, but okay, what's it like in this moment? So yeah, this other image is of the naturalist. The naturalist who studies things in the natural environment. So not someone who takes things to the lab to study them, but studies them as they are, studies their natural behavior. And that's what we're looking to do with our own experience, is not take ourselves out of our own natural way of being, but be able to recognize what's happening when we're just sitting without a particular agenda, when we're not interfering or trying to get the mind to do a particular thing. So getting to know our body and mind in its natural state, and getting to know the six senses in a natural way. And our emphasis is on the process of our sense experience. So the processes of hearing, of seeing, of touching and tasting, of thinking. Can we be aware of thinking as it happens? We're much less interested, or mindfulness is less interested in the content of the thoughts, the what we're seeing or what we're hearing. It's not that we don't know that, we do know that, but we're more interested in the process of it happening moment by moment. So I was talking this morning quite a bit about this quality of being relaxed and settled back and receiving objects. And that could be very, very helpful. And what I'm getting at there is we're looking to avoid equating awareness with a certain sort of vigilance or even hypervigilance, where we sort of jump on things that arise, things that happen. Very tiring, very tension making. So it's like, relax, settle back, and we can still know. I think sometimes it's easy to have the habit of thinking that we can't really, we might miss something, or we can't really clock it unless we're ready and waiting. And we've got this sort of slightly over alertness in the mind and in the body, tension in the body. So we don't try and know everything. We don't try and be aware of everything, but simply what can awareness know in this moment? And you may be half aware that there's quite a lot else going on that you're not really picking up, and that's okay. If you like, you know as much as awareness can know in that moment. And over time, and with more continuity of awareness, awareness gets a bit stronger. And then we may well know a bit more. We may well recognize more. Of course, some of what we notice may be this sense of trying, of alertness, and recognize that and see what that feels like. What's that like? And allow yourself to settle back, if you like, and observe those things that are arising, the mental object of trying or efforting, reaching for or grasping. Now, often these are aspects of the craving mind, the grasping mind, and that's very, very helpful to recognize. And we'll be looking at that in quite a bit more detail probably in a couple of days. So Sati is very much about what's happening in the present moment, what's happening in our direct experience in the present moment. So it can be helpful to drop in questions that we don't expect an answer to, but we drop them in to stimulate some interest in being present. What's happening now? What is the mind knowing? Am I aware? Just very simple questions that just remind us to reconnect again and again with the present moment and with whatever is happening in the present moment. I think sometimes it can feel a bit too simple. We're used to complexity. We're used to, especially within the thinking mind, we give the thinking mind a lot of rein. And we can get quite addicted to the complexity, the complicated and conflicted thinking that goes on. And it can seem quite counterintuitive for it to be enough to be aware, to just be aware. And we can find ourselves thinking, but I need to sort this out. I need to. So we dive into the knot of complexity and conflicted thinking. Actually, it's quite freeing. Actually, it's quite freeing to think it's enough just to be aware. And the flavor of that awareness will be different to the flavor of complexity or conflicted mind. And we can get a taste for that flavor of awareness that's more restful, that's able to recognize what's happening, but it doesn't need to join in with it. It doesn't need to it can have its own flavor. What does complex mind feel like? What does knotted thinking feel like? It can be known, if you like, from awareness's side, which can be quite a relief. So one of the things with awareness is that it's impartial. It doesn't pick and choose. And yet, especially when working together with wisdom, with the wisdom mind, there's a clear knowing, a clear understanding of what's skillful and what's not skillful. So mindfulness happens within an ethical framework, happens within that. Another way we can look at that, one way that perhaps helps us stay with allowing whatever's arising to arise and not putting the brakes on, is if we think of that impartiality in awareness. It has some understanding of what leads to suffering and what doesn't. And it's not that we try and stop things happening. in a way, we let awareness play it out, let it be played out. We observe it. And at some point, there's enough awareness that says, actually, you know what, don't need to go there, don't need to go down there. Or I'm going to allow this state here to unfold, to flourish. So one last general principle, which I said a couple of times, is we're looking not to put so much energy on what I'm calling the objects of experience. Anything that can be known, any sense objects or mind objects that awareness can know. We don't need to put so much attention there, but rest more attention with the aware mind, or the knowing that's happening. So you can encapsulate that in a little phrase: don't go to objects, don't go towards objects. See if it's possible to stay resting with the awareness. So we've got these two sides. This is something that's particular to the early Buddhist tradition. So it can be phrased a little bit differently. If someone's coming from one of the later traditions. But in the early Buddhist tradition, you've got these two sides. You've got the what we're aware of, and the knowing, the object and the knowing. So two different things. And you can be aware of either. You may find that mostly you're aware of objects arising, you're aware of sensations, you're aware of sounds, you're aware of the breath happening. But at times you might also have this sense of the awareness, that more attention is resting with the awareness than with the breath, or more attention is resting with the knowing than what's being seen or what's being heard. So you don't need to remember all that or try and put all that into practice. It's there, if you like, to go in the back of your mind. And for some of you, it would be more familiar than others. But just let it sort of, in a way, let it go. Hear it, let it go. And we'll sit now. We'll sit until 6 o'clock. We've got about 25 minutes. So if you want to set yourselves up, and I'll lead us into this sit, exploring this territory. So I'll just drop in one line from a Rumi verse, which I really like. I think it just evokes receptivity, this quality of settling back and just opening to what's happening. So Rumi says, "Give up to grace The ocean takes care of each wave until it gets to the shore. Give up to grace. The ocean takes care of each wave until it gets to the shore. So you might want to start with your eyes open. You can have them open or closed, but either way, just let the eyes be soft. Apparently, it's the eyes and the hands that are most difficult to relax in a human body. But if we can remember just to let the eyes soften. If they are open, you might even feel like you've suddenly got more peripheral vision. You can see around corners. And let yourself come to the present moment. And probably what that means is that every now and again you'll notice that you're present, that you're aware. Perhaps aware of different sensations within a tactile body. Aware of different sounds around or within. And you might come to awareness, recognizing the quality of your mind right now. You might recognize, oh, there's a lot of thinking. Or recognize sleepiness. Or restlessness. Whatever it is, we don't make a problem out of any object. The object is there just in order to help grow awareness. Any object will do. A sound object, sensation object, see if it's possible to just let body and mind be relaxed enough to just notice different things as they happen. staying present, not seeking out experience. It will be there, so just allowing it to come to you, come to some interface with awareness. Let body and mind be in their natural state. And we only have 6 sense doors. So there are a limited number of ways that our experience shows up. Every now and again you might remind yourself, am I aware? Is awareness present? What is the mind knowing? Mindfulness is conditioned by moments of mindfulness. So we just have to get the ball rolling, the ball of interest and remembering. And remembering to let the mind be simple. We can let awareness be simple, even while it's observing a lot of complexity. If you find that you're getting quite lost, lots of different experiences that are taking you away from the present moment, lots of thinking, it's always possible to just choose one aspect of your experience. Might be your physical body, could be the breath, or it could be sounds. And just make one of these spheres of experience a type of anchor. A ship's anchor isn't static, it still allows movement, but it stops the ship from traveling too far. So the same with our anchor, it can help keep us within this sphere of experience of the breath, the body, or sounds. Can whatever your experience is now be enough? Awareness and its object in this moment and this moment. Are you with some past moment or anticipating or waiting into the future? Rest again and again with what's happening right now. Present moments always available. You simply have to remember